Hello, everyone. My name is Mark Johnson. I'm editorial board chair for CDO Magazine. I'm also capability lead for data management and analytics at a company called New Era Technologies. And I am excited today to have the opportunity to interview Akira Togawa, who is Senior Director, Business Automation and Intelligence at a company called Harris. To Akira, great to meet you and be with you in the interview today.
Same to you, Mark.
Awesome. Would you take a few minutes before we get started with the Q&A to introduce yourself, a little bit about your background, and tell us about Harris?
Sure thing. As you said, I'm the Senior Director of Business Automation and Intelligence at Harris. Here at Harris, we are a nationally recognized specialty contractor. We focus on HVAC. Most notably, we did the MSG Sphere in Las Vegas. We've done the Raiders Stadium, and we also do a lot of work in many different portfolios. We target the technology space, medical space, universities, mostly institutional HVAC projects. Prior to coming to Harris, I was a mechanical engineer focusing in nuclear engineering and design. Kind of transitioned into more of a technical space when I saw that there was a huge appetite and need for people who focused in data and technology. And I've been here at Harris for the last 3 years.
Awesome. And, as we talked about this discussion, I think we focused in on the topic of leadership and digital transformation. And so, as we get started with the interview, I want to kind of zero in on driving innovation in established industries. Obviously, Harris is working within an established industry. From your perspective, what emerging technologies hold the most promise for accelerating innovation and digital transformation within businesses, generally speaking, today? And can you provide a few examples of how you successfully integrated such technologies into your strategies at Harris?
Yeah, sure. So, one of the things about digital transformation is that it gets sometimes grouped in with traditional information technology or infrastructure work. Traditional technology departments would communicate with their end users and then roll them out. But when we look at digital transformation, in many ways, it is the word innovation. And by definition, innovation are things which are new. The key thing for success in a digital transformation project are working with the business and really coming up with what are those successful criteria. And I think even dialing a little bit deeper into that is which technologies out there are in the adoption curve where we have our appetite for joining in. So we have some real cutting edge innovation technologies that are available. You can think about AI or robotics that can be used in construction. Do we have the appetite to take those projects on which have high risk but also high reward? Or are we looking for the ones which are maybe in the early majority type of phase where there's some other key players in the industry who have already tested them out and they're ready to go for market?
Hmm.
So, some examples of projects that we've done to do this, I would say they fit into almost a kind of field of dreams-esque type of idea, Mark, where we just have to build them before the vision has been seen by the business, because it's very unclear what the shape of some of these technologies will be if you tried to describe them to your end users. And you need to start to work in a very almost hyper agile type of space to show them what can be.
Hmm.
The key projects that we've seen are not necessarily what you would think, such as like, hey, take this spreadsheet and turn it into something else. Right? Those are things that I don't feel really move the needle for transformation. That's just digital translation, right? Rather than
Hmm.
transformation. But I'm gonna say like here's a good example, just dashboarding. Okay, so dashboarding as a very basic and foundational thing, which most businesses take for granted these days because they assume that it's just there. But you'd be surprised how many organizations don't actually have a formulated and foundational dashboarding capability in-house. And I think when we really look at what digital transformation means, it is from the ground up, building the proper foundation by which you can put a dashboarding project in play.
I know that, Harris is a HVAC construction company, has been operating in an industry that, some might think of as kind of quasi blue collar. But I think as you begin to apply digital transformation to a business like that, there's some really interesting opportunities to move the needle vis-a-vis your competitors. And you mentioned one of the projects that you guys have done, the Sphere in Vegas, which is an amazing accomplishment of untold, proportions. I imagine that data and analytics and technology played an important role in how you engineered and outfitted that particular space from an HVAC perspective. Can you speak a little bit to that? I think that our listeners would be really interested.
Yeah, absolutely. There's two sides at scale of large projects where there's a lot of money and funding. I think you have two sides to the digital play here. You have the means and methods of construction, which we can leverage data analytics to help perform, but there's also just the financial performance side of these projects as well, which is equally as important. So I want to speak to that because I think that is perhaps one of the lesser considered elements when we're doing a physical to digital type of play, like a construction project, is how can we use both the corporate or back of house resources which are managing this project and bridging a gap with what is going on in the field? And so, what I mean by that is when we look at the construction schedule itself, we can take all of the activities which were planned to occur, and we can throw them into a trained model or some other sort of analytics engine that we can build that is very specific to this type of space to look for critical path issues, risks of activities not um, being in the proper order to construct the building. But we can also draw from past experience on previous projects we've worked on who have maybe a similar size, fit, form, or function and look at lessons learned from those to then project out what a new construction schedule can look like. We can drill all the way down to how long does it take an individual person to, say, lay out 1 foot of duct, and we can look at productivity and we can see where there could be some areas for improvement. We can gain some information from the field to make those numbers more accurate. And the name of the game here is also immediate feedback, iterative process, because the construction site does not wait for us to build a dashboard or an analytics engine. You run out of time and they have to build this building. So what's important for us is being able to iterate through the construction schedule quickly, get feedback from them, react, and immediately turn a new construction schedule around for them.
Mm, that's really powerful. Is, kind of continuing on this idea of leveraging emerging technologies. From your perspective, what emerging technologies hold the most promise for accelerating innovation and digital transformation within a company like Harris?
We have a lot of technologies out there that we would like to implement. There's this concept, I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, of pushing technology versus pulling technology. And if not, or for the viewers of this, the technology teams are always out there trying to push some new tech out there. And it may not necessarily be received as well as if the construction technologies are being asked of us. If people come to us and are pulling, saying, "Hey, we need this. I need something on this project." Those are those opportunities, Mark, for us to really shine and react and listen. You need this. We will help you implement. So
Mm,
one of the technologies that we've seen is helping with, in our space at least, in construction, is automating the fabrication of, say, pipes or HVAC. So we have a lot of robotics, and robotics is still very much emerging in all technologies. But in construction, how do we give a robot a set of tasks and have it perform it? And I'll simplify this down to everybody has pipes or understands how pipes work. They all have to get cut to size. And
right.
that is a job that has always traditionally been somebody measuring with a tape measure, drawing a line on the pipe, and then cutting it with some sort of saw. And this is a very prime candidate for sending to a machine. So what we've done in this particular case is we've seen that our fabrication facilities have an interest in this. They want to focus on welding or assembling or painting or other tasks that require a trade skill and leave the cutting of, say, pipes or sheet metal to pattern to a machine. So how do we get there? Well, first we have to go back to the blueprint of the building itself. And we have this massive building. You could think of the sphere or any other large project. How do we take this massive project and then scale that down into all of the little puzzle pieces that build it, and then send those puzzle pieces to a machine to cut them to that exact jigsaw shape?
Hmm.
And this is something that we have implemented and we're using, and it has produced some very favorable results. But the thing with emerging technologies is they're not institutionalized yet. So it's important that even though we've crossed some finish line, we really look at it as if it's more of a milestone and that we're continuing to support this because that technology will continue to change. So we need to make sure that we're always on the latest and greatest version of that robot, the latest and greatest version of the software that's needed to create those jigsaw or blueprint puzzles to send there. So these emerging technologies are almost living technologies at the same time.
That seems really powerful when you think about the entire, fabrication and assembly and construction process in your business. That something like that level of robotics automation is a real game changer for the efficiency side of your business in preparation for the site and making sure that the right parts get there and fit the right part of the puzzle at the right time. That's a big logistical conversation. Thank you so much for engaging in part one of this interview. I'm so much looking forward to picking this back up in part two, Akira, with you.
Same. Thank you so much.